The foundations of fitness. 5 simple steps. So you may want to grab pen and paper unless you're driving or working out and just listening to different podcasts. If you are, just take it in. But if you're where you can take some notes, I encourage you to grab pen and paper. All right. 5, the fundamentals of fitness, 5 simple steps, right? That's going to be training, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, and mindset. Those are the 5 simple steps and the 5 foundations of fitness. I had a mentor of mine that once said, in any major area of life, there are really only about a half a dozen things that have done correctly or followed correctly will lead us to success, whether it's finance or fitness or family. With fitness, I feel like there are only 5 fundamentals to fitness, 5 simple steps: being on a good exercise program, eating healthy, getting enough recovery, supplementing intelligently, and fitness mindset. So let's break it down a little bit. But first, before to encapsulate the whole thing, I feel like going into a new year coming up, if you're watching this before the new year, we're heading in as of the time of this recording, where it's Christmas Eve, we're heading into the 2025. If you want to make 2025 your year, your best fitness year ever, the number one thing I encourage you to do is consider having clear, specific goals. I'll help you with it right now. If you could wave a realistic magic wand and you could have your body, your health, your energy, any kind of way you wanted it to be over the next year, what would that be like for you? Think about it and get clear and specific. I'll use myself as an example. I was recently measured about a month ago at 180 pounds at around 11% body fat. My goal is to be above 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat. That is a very clear and specific goal. It's my fitness goal. It's very clear and specific. That's what makes it a good goal, I feel like. Specific. It's clear and specific. What is your goal? Do whatever works with you. I encourage you to go off of body fat is good. Not everybody likes weight. You can do clothes size, but sometimes it's good just to be honest with yourself. What's your body weight? What's your body fat? Just get a good, honest measurement. What's your body weight? What's your body fat? And then set a clear, specific goal. You don't even have to take a fancy test. If you just go online and look up men's and women's body fat percentages, you'll come up just and look up images. You'll find some images that represent men from low to high body fat, and you'll find some images that represent women from low to high body fat, and all in between. You can look at it, kind of judge where you are currently, and then set a goal, right? So I encourage you to set a body fat percent goal, just something, just clear and specific, right? Now, once you have that goal, clear and specific goal, I want to set it up into an affirmation / prayer that you can use every day, probably for the rest of your life, because we can change our goals as we go along. But right now, let's lock into this current goal, this next 12 months goal, right? Let's put it down and lock it in our mindset. I'm going to help you frame your goal. This is your framework. I am happy and grateful now that I am, you fill in the blank. I am happy and grateful now that I am, then you fill in the blank, right? That's our affirmation. Every day when I go to the studio, if you were in my car, you'd probably laugh and think I'm nuts, but I'd say, I am happy and grateful now that I am at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat, feeling strong and healthy like a supple leopard. Thick brown hair, 20/20 vision, perfect teeth, and supple skin. See, I put all that out there. That's my affirmation. That's my prayer. What's powerful about this, and I encourage you, if you get nothing else from this lesson today, if you can lock in an affirmation / prayer for yourself, the power of this is that we're putting our mindset in the framework that we are at this moment, like that I am at this moment, at least 190 pounds. That's, and I'm pretending, it's kind of like pretend. I'm pretending that I am 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat. So I say it as if I'm already there. I am happy and grateful now that I am at least 190 pounds at or below 10% body fat. That kind of tricks the mind. It helps pull us. Now, of course, we have to back it up with action. I'm not saying we can't just do that. It does take 5 simple steps, like we said in the beginning: exercising, eating healthy, getting our rest, supplementing intelligently, working on our fitness mindset. But the mindset, sometimes that's what can keep us in the game. When your mindset is strong, that's what will keep you engaging in the activities of exercising, eating healthy, getting your enough recovery, supplementing intelligently, and working on your fitness mindset. The mindset oftentimes is what's going to keep you in the game. That's why if you're not working with a coach, which most people do not, and hint, that's what I do. I have a very affordable, high value, affordable virtual fitness training program where I hold you accountable. But if you're doing this with yourself, either way, it's important that you have a strong mindset, because that's what's going to ultimately push your activities. That's going to get you to do the exercise that's required to make the changes physically. Because if you don't exercise, you won't make a change, no matter how many times we say it. But saying it a lot of times will get us to take action and follow through with the things that's required to be successful. So that's your affirmation. I am happy and grateful / prayer. I am happy and grateful now that I am, you fill in the blank. That's your affirmation. Now, 5 simple steps: exercising, eating healthy, getting enough recovery, supplementing intelligently, mindset. With training, let's talk about training. I feel like there are basically 2 major categories of training: strength training and cardiovascular training. Imagine for a moment that we're flying along on a twin-engine airplane, and imagine we have 2 engines on the airplane. One engine is strength training, one engine is cardiovascular training. Now imagine if we only have one engine working on the airplane, how efficient is that plane going to be? Not as efficient as it could be, right? So on your fitness plane, I encourage you to have some sort of strength training, some sort of cardiovascular training. For example, my routine, I like to do 5 days a week cardio, 5 days a week of strength. I like to do the cardio in the morning, eat a couple meals, have the strength in the afternoon. That's what works for me. What you have to do what works for you. What works for you? It can be 3 times a week of each, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. 6 times a week is a little much, because I feel like we need recovery time, right? All right. So that's training. Now, when it comes to actual strength training, I feel like there are basically 5 principles of training I want you to consider: proper form, getting a good variety, training with intensity, including specific training principles, and being consistent. Let's take a brief look at these. Proper form. Why would proper form be important? Think about it. If you just had to guess, why would proper form be important when doing weight training? So so we don't get hurt, right? That's one thing. That is a very important reason to make sure your form is proper so you don't get an injury, and that so that we're being effective with our time, and we're getting the most out of it. We're hitting the right muscles that we want to work, right? That's proper form. Variety. Why would we want to switch it up from time to time? Why couldn't we just do the same exercise routine on and on and on? Well, I feel like our bodies get used to it and adapt, and we no longer respond to the same stimulus that we had before. So by switching it up, it keeps our bodies progressively making progress. Then also too, a lot of times, I know I get bored if I do the same routine. If I'm doing it 6 weeks in a row, I might get a little tired of it. So a lot of times, we change the workouts kind of frequently. So that's variety. Intensity. What comes to mind when you think about exercising with intensity? What comes to mind? Say we're working chest. Say we're doing presses, right? Doing our presses. Now, imagine that we're going for 12 repetitions. We get to 9, 10, 11, 12. It's hard. It's tough. I can barely get it. And 12. Got that last one. What's the most beneficial part of that set? The first few reps or the last few reps? Think about that for a minute. What's the most beneficial part of that set? The first few reps or the last few reps? Well, I feel like it's the last few reps. That's where the actual overload, the challenge, the stress that's being put on that muscle. When we stimulate and put our muscles under that kind of stress, that kind of tension, what's going to happen is our muscles have to grow, respond, and get stronger due to the response. So that's the intensity, right? Proper training principles. There's a lot of different training principles. Compound sets, drop sets, supersets, rest pause training, circuit training, many principles to include. A compound set, for example, is working opposing muscle groups same muscle group, like a chest press to a chest fly. That's a compound set. Two chests to a chest press and a chest fly. A superset is working opposing muscle groups back to back, like a chest press and a pull down or a pull up, opposing muscle groups. Biceps, triceps, quadriceps, hamstrings, right? Many training principles, right? Then last but not least is consistency. Why is consistency an important principle to include into your exercising regimen? Think about that. Imagine for a moment that you had a twin of you. And say you were both going for a 1-year challenge, a 1-year competition. You're going to meet back December 25, 2025, and see who had the best results. When you meet back, you follow through with your program, working out 3 to 4 days a week, cardio and strength each, eating about 80+% healthy. Nobody's perfect. You rested pretty good. You got your supplements and you had a good mindset. The other person started off that way, but then skipped a few workouts here and there, didn't always get their cardio in, had a few extra cheat days, didn't always get in enough nutritional. Sometimes you have to eat enough to provide the recovery. Over the year, who is going to get the best results? The one that's the most consistent, right? So I encourage you to keep in mind the power of consistency with your program. Very important. Get started and then be consistent. Decide whether you're going to work out 3, 4, or 5 days a week, whatever you're going to do. And then implement, take action, and be consistent. I'd rather you commit to 3 days a week and be consistent with it for 12 weeks than to commit to 5 days a week and then really blow it and kind of feel bad, like you're kind of throwing yourself. Do what you can commit to, whether it's 3, 4, 5 days a week exercise routine. Follow through with it. Be consistent with it. Implement it and do it. Take action, right? So those are the 5 basic principles of training, of exercise: proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and then consistency, right? Okay, that's 5. Now, let's talk about nutrition. There are basically, I feel, 4 basic ways that eating affects us on our fitness journey. It affects our metabolism, our energy levels, our blood sugar levels, and our insulin levels, right? So imagine for a moment that we have a fireplace, right? And that imagine that we want to have a good, long-lasting fire in the fireplace. Now, on one hand, we have a stack of oak wood. On one hand, we have a stack of paper. Now, not including kindling and getting the fire started, but if you had to choose between the oak wood or the paper to burn in your fireplace, which one would you pick and why? Well, if you thought it through, you'd probably go with the oak wood because the oak wood will burn longer. It's going to last longer. If we light the paper on fire, it's going to burn fast, and then it'll be out in minutes. It'd be nothing there in just a few minutes. But once we get the oak wood going, it's going to have a nice burning fire, and it's going to last very long. These kind of foods, I feel like, are more of our whole food, plant-based foods. Like I feel like our diet, I recommend at least 50% of our diet to be fruits and vegetables. That's just a lot of good quality foods, fruits and vegetables. Then their other 50% to be whole grains and lentils, like proteins and like lentils, legumes, nuts, and seeds. And there's all kind of good stuff to go with. Protein smoothies. There's just a million things you can do to enjoy yourself and have a tasty, nutritional life. If you want to learn a little bit further, go deeper dive into nutrition, I encourage you to watch the documentary, The Game Changers. The Game Changers is on Netflix and YouTube, right? All right, so that's on that, right? Now, imagine also, too, another thing on nutrition. Imagine that we're trying to build a 2-story house from scratch. And imagine that we only had half the materials necessary to build the house. How far are we going to get? Maybe halfway, right? The foods that we eat on a daily basis, the foods that we all eat on a daily basis are the supplies that are either building our body that we want, that we pray for and deserve and have a healthy body. It's either building it up or it's tearing it down, right? So consider that. So going forward, I encourage you to go forward. You don't have to be perfect, but I encourage you to go for at least 80% best you can, whole food, plant-based diet, 50% fruits and vegetables, other 50% whole grains and healthy proteins like legumes, lentils, nuts, and seeds, and smoothies, right? So that's nutrition. Now, that's number 2. Let's take a look at recovery. Over the last few years, I've had the honor of training 3 different neurologists and 1 a neuroradiologist. And they have all said, and they study, of course, brain, spine, sleep studies, all this kind of stuff. 7.5 to 9 hours sleep a night is what their studies recommend that we get for our sleep. So that's something to consider, right? So that's what I'm going with. I know I've heard other things too, like 6 hours and whatever, but this is science, and maybe, I don't know. I believe it for me and for most of the population. Those doctors believe it for all the population. So you just do what's right for you. I'm just letting you be aware of it. You do what's best for you. But think about 7.5 to 9. It's a pretty sweet spot. Which brings us to number 4, supplementation. There are basically 2 different categories of supplements: nutritional supplements and enhancement performance supplements. Now, with nutritional supplements, it's like smoothies, protein shakes. I love them. I have them regularly, and I encourage you to consider them too. They're a great way to get additional nutrients in, and it can be very tasty, depending on what you like. You can make anywhere from chocolate-based smoothies to fruit-based smoothies, whatever you like, right? And then there are enhancement performance supplements. One example would be creatine monohydrate. It's one that's been around a while, it's been tested, and it does assist in building strength. It is an enhancement performance supplement. And for those of you over 40 considering hormone therapy, this is where I put hormone therapy too, in the enhancement and supplement / prescription area, right? And then last but not least is mindset, right? The fitness mindset. That's why I started off this video today with talking about the power of the mindset and leading us into an affirmation / prayer, daily prayer. And here's why. Imagine for a moment that we're building a huge commercial office building, and that we have this big crane out in front of it with the box, that the person's inside pulling the levers, right? Now imagine that the person in the box, the crane is our body, and the person in the box, that's our mind. The mind is pulling the levers on that. The crane, person in the box is pulling the levers on the crane. The mind is pulling the levers on our body. Now, when I set out and say, I'm going to do 5 days a week of cardio, 5 days a week of strength, when it comes Monday morning and it's time to do my first session of cardio, and maybe I don't quite feel like it, it's Monday morning, sometimes you might be starting off a little slow, perhaps. I try to not be in that state, but there's no debate about it. It doesn't matter. I just get right on it because I know afterwards I'm going to feel better, and I do. So you just do it. It's not a question. Is it going to happen today? Oh, I might not do it today. I might try to make it up later. It's not like that. It's yes, I'm doing it right then, right when I decided to. And that's my mind telling my body that I'm doing it. And your mind can tell your body the same thing. That's why the point I want to get across to you with the mindset is that your mind can tell your body what to do, not the other way around. And last but not least, as you're going on this fitness journey, imagine for a moment that you're in the ocean. If you've ever been in the ocean, you know that there's sometimes this undercurrent, this riptide kind of pulls you back. You're swimming towards one area, but you have this constant force, strong force, so forceful it drowns people sometimes, and it's pushing against you, right? But yet you're going through it, right? And that's the same thing I feel like it is with fitness. As we're going along, we're exercising, we're eating healthy, we're getting our rest, we're supplementing intelligently. We're definitely going against resistance. We're going against resistance, but we're getting stronger. We're getting better every day, every week, every month, every year, right? But just realize there is that resistance. But I encourage you to be consistent with your training regimen, your nutrition regimen, your recovery regimen, your supplement regimen, and your mind regimen every day, saying your affirmation / prayer. I am happy and grateful now that I am. You state your goal. That's what's going to keep you in the game, right? Now, if you really want to take it to the next level, I do have a virtual fitness coaching offer that's high value, low cost. If you're interested in finding out about it, message me the word consult to 520-400-9573. We'll set up a complimentary phone or a Zoom call. I'll get to know your situation. I'll help you regardless of whether you take advantage of the coaching or not. Take a look at your situation. Then also, too, for further free resources, you can visit fit.fitness, just like it sounds, fit.fitness. That'll take you to my primary website, weightlosssolutionsThatWork.com. It's kind of long. That's why I have a shorter one, fit.fitness. You can just type that in. It'll take you right to it, forward you right over. I have a 7-day free email series and a 21-day free email series. The biggest difference between the two, the 7-day email series they both come every day. A 7-day email series is basically a written word. You just read it, and that's how you learn. The 21-day email series is about a 10 to 15 minute video lesson on a fitness fat burning topic. A lot of it's mindset, a lot of strategies, and it's about you just have to be willing to click and watch the video. That's all. But it's all free, and it's at fit.fitness. Right. All right. Appreciate your time, your energy, and be blessed. Have a blessed rest of the year, and remember that health is wealth. Taking care of your body. That's where a lot of good times can come from, because you're going to be feeling so good, having a healthy body. One, you go down the road of disease. We don't want that for you. We don't want you to go down the road of high blood pressure, potential stroke issues, heart attack problems, just being overweight and fat for the rest of your life when you don't have to be, right? It's not necessary. If you don't want to be. Now, if that's what you enjoy, that's one thing. But if you want to change, I feel like the help is here. I'm going to come at you here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and support your journey, right? So I'm here for you. And remember that health is wealth, right? All kind of benefits to health, better sex, better fun, better quality of life, to be healthy and feeling good. And I wish that for you. For 2025 is your year. All right. Be blessed, and bye for now.